Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Irina Shurov, and I'm neuroscientist and nutrition and health coach. And I love to share with you some successful stories of parents who have achieved lots of results with their children with autism. Because I think it's a very interesting topic, and this is an increasing issue in our society. And I think every successful story can be so empowering and so useful for any other parents in the similar situation. And I've got a pleasure today to introduce to you one of such fantastic parents. Her name is Gabriela, and she has a very sweet son who been diagnosed with autism some time ago, but she had a power to achieve lots of positive results. Thank you for participating and sharing your personal story with our audience, because it can be very beneficial for others. So I welcome you to our chat, and please introduce yourself and maybe just to tell a little bit about your situation, about your fantastic son.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here, Irina. Hello, everybody. Well, just to start shortly our story, my son was born like a totally normal child. He had no issues. I had no issues during the pregnancy. Everything was under control and well. Between year 2.5 and 3 years old, our son fell into autism. It was obvious. He lost his eye contact. He lost his speech. He wasn't verbal at all. We saw it was more like a mechanical problem because he was making more like an animal sounds. He was no sociable at all. He couldn't recognize almost anybody. He could pay attention to me time to time, but nothing really mattered to him. He was lost in his own world, in his repetitive behavior. He basically didn't communicate at all with our world. We lost him totally into his autism. And straight after his autism was confirmed, we knew something was wrong by then. We almost felt relieved, of course sad, but relieved as well, because we knew what's wrong now. And we immediately, with my husband, started to look for solutions to help our son out from the autism.
What kind of treatments or sort of therapies you've tried or been offered, and how they helped your child?
Lucky enough, straight away, a friend of mine told me about the Sunrise program. We started to adopt some techniques which they already teach you on. And immediately I booked myself to the soonest possible training in America.
So your son Tommy, how old is he now?
He's 7 years old now.
You started program when he was?
He was 3 years old, and we done Sunrise for 3 years. Altogether, he spent over 4,000 hours in his room doing his Sunrise therapy.
Quite intense.
It's intense. Thing is, Sunrise is extremely loving, non-judgmental therapy, which goes with your child, not against him.
Yeah. That's been very interesting experience, but of course, and I really like that therapy and this approach. I think it's a great program. I would like to ask you if you had a certain nutritional interventions as well in your son's life, in your family life actually, and what kind of interventions you tried and what kind of results you experienced, please.
Okay, so almost immediately when we learn about my son's autism, we learn about the diets. Again, through the internet, we learned from parents with good experience with the diet. We listen to the professionals who will be proposing diets which helping. Of course, you can find lots of people who say nothing works, but we decided not to listen to those.
This is very important one. Don't listen
Yeah.
people who say doesn't work. So go for positive response and try it, because you don't know if it's going to work in your particular situation, in particular situation of your child. So never ignore anything. You have to try. Different techniques can be very powerful in different combination.
Exactly.
So sorry,
no, you're right. You're definitely right. I would tell the parents who are in the situation where I were before, you have absolutely nothing to lose with trying the diet. Yeah.
It's very safe.
Yeah, very safe. And you better try it now as soon as possible and see for your own eyes. Try it on yourself first. You will see if you get rid of gluten, casein, even you will feel better.
So what exactly you've tried, Gabrielle? Which steps you tried? You excluded gluten, yes?
First, we excluded gluten.
And you've seen some
we saw results almost immediately with gluten. I know we were very lucky, because generally you have to wait months, 2 months, half a year to see significant results. But we saw results basically between 7-10 days.
And what exactly you've seen?
Until then, our son was extremely hyperactive. He basically wouldn't stand up or sit down for 1 second. Yeah, he kept walking back and forth or running back and forth. He couldn't focus or concentrate on anything because of his hyperactivity. When we stopped the gluten, he did calm down. He could sit down for a second. There was a time when he started to use his iPad a little bit for a minute, yeah, but it was a big thing for him. And instead of running around, he started to walk. I could actually go for a walk with him instead of walking and running behind him. Yeah, he really calmed down. It was a big difference.
That's amazing.
Also, his appearance, he used to have really big dark circles around his eyes.
Yeah.
And that disappeared. I believe it was with gluten, because that disappeared. With further, we eliminated casein, because my son was basically addicted to his yogurt drinks.
Yeah.
So that was quite challenging, because he did have a couple tantrums. Of course, he wasn't happy about it. But when we saw our success with eliminating gluten, we were convinced we have to eliminate everything else.
Yeah.
We done it slowly, because we also learned about things which we should eliminate gradually, because we didn't have any expert to help us. So after gluten came casein, then sugar, then yeast, chemicals, colorings, and entire processed foods.
Yeah.
And my son became healthy looking boy. He used to have really bloated belly. Even he was very skinny. He used to have a bloated belly all the time. That disappeared. His face looks healthier. His muscle tone's healthier. He has no constipation anymore.
That's fantastic. I think you've been very lucky to see the results very quickly, which gave you much more power to continue and go further and try another sort of interventions, nutritional.
Absolutely.
And once you started to normalize his digestive system, so he started to absorb the nutrients from good food, he became completely different person.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's very good. So obviously it's very positive results, but the journey is never easy. What is the most frustrating moments while you've been introducing these changes in eating habits?
Well, as I mentioned, probably the most frustration ones were his tantrums. When you really see his reaction to it.
Changes.
But maybe I read it somewhere, or I learned that, and it taught me to look at those tantrums like, if you have a drug addict, if your son would be taking drugs, and he would be having tantrum and asking you to give him one more fix. Well, you wouldn't, because it's bad for him.
Yeah.
And when I learned how to see the situation this way.
How to handle situation.
How to handle situation. Well, I will, and he knew that he's not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So it took maybe 3 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and he got used to it, that it's not going to change. And then I think his body detox, and he didn't need it anymore. So I think that was the biggest challenge.
Patient and determined through this detoxification period, through the die-off period, when the bad bacteria is dying and releasing lots of toxins, and you remove it. Okay, well, that's fantastic. So obviously it's been, again, interesting experience. Do you think you would benefit from having at this point certain help, like a health nutritional coach next to you who will, maybe go through this journey with you and support you through this experience? Do you think it would be beneficial?
Of course, absolutely, absolutely. To be honest, it didn't cross my mind. I could look for someone like you, for example, because we just jumped into the problem and we learned everything ourselves.
You had the power by yourself to do it.
I had my husband to support me as well. Yes, and but of course, if you have some professional who can really help you and explain why the child react differently to the different diet changes, that definitely helps. Yeah.
So tell us about Tommy now, what he's doing and how he feels, and his success.
Yeah, his success, that's exactly what it is. He's been always going to the same school. Until last year, he always had a one-to-one helper with him. This year, in year 2, he started without any helper because all his teachers decided he's really out of his autism and he doesn't need any help anymore.
That's fantastic. Really,
absolutely.
Good news to hear.
Yeah, and since he started, he's really doing really well. He's really happy to go to school. That's nice. More than we wished for.
Oh, that's nice. So this is really pleasing to hear that you achieved so much. And this is really, I think, great story to share and empower other parents, how far you can go and how much you can achieve. Of course, every case is very different, but what we try to tell you, please go and try different methods. Try what suits your child in your particular family situation, but don't just dismiss anything because somebody told you so. And I think we need to start from certain fundamental changes as well, and educational support and nutritional support. There is 2 very important starting points, because when you change attitude towards your child and you change his biochemical starting point, you can do so much. So I hope this powerful story really can go to many sort of heads and many families and many homes to, demonstrate how much you can do and, influence in a positive way decisions of many other parents who have a similar situation. So what is a summary at the end, what you can sort of say to other people? So your last final, advice.
My final advice is do your best. Try to help your child, because you as a parent are the only source for your child. No professional will try harder to help your child than you ever will. Of course, I spoke about sunrise and the diet. We tried lots of other things, for example, brain integration techniques, the handler therapy, and much more. So if you want to learn more about our journey, please go to our website, which is www.parentautism.com.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Gabriela. Thank you, everyone who been listening to us today. If you've got any questions, if you want to share any feedbacks or have any comments, please contact me or Gabriela. She just announced her website. or contact me on my website, which is www.liveright.eu, and we together will be able to navigate, help, and handle your questions with pleasure. So thank you very much, and I'm going to bring you more interesting stories next time. Bye-bye.